Laksa is probably one of my favourite soups because it's everything I love in one bowl. A rich, spicy soup with noodles, chicken, and to be honest, you can change it up to whatever you like. Now, I'm using a laksa paste. This is a Malaysian-style laksa paste. I'm going to use 185 grams. Now, use a large pot for this. We're going to heat it up on a medium heat, some vegetable oil, and what we need to do is fry off the laksa paste. Now, in a classic Malaysian laksa paste, you'll find turmeric, lemongrass, galangal, dried shrimp paste, and many other delicious things, but it's a little bit raw, so we need to take the raw flavour away, and that's why we fry it for a good 5 minutes. So, like I said, 185 grams, which is a whole jar. And then I'll use a wooden spoon just to mix that and start cooking it off. Now, it'll spit a little bit just because of the moisture in the paste, but just constantly stir it so none of that paste sticks to the bottom. Okay, now that this is thickened up and it's split a little bit, we can add our coconut milk. So 270 millilitres of coconut milk, and this is synonymous with a good classic laksa. You need it to be really creamy. Now, we need to dilute this with a little bit more liquid because this is too concentrated, so I'll be using some chicken stock. I like the combination of about 500 mils of chicken stock and a little extra water. Perfect. All right, so that's the base of our soup. See how easy that is to do? Now, this broth needs to simmer for about 5 to 8 minutes. Then I'm going to turn it down to a really low heat and add some chicken. Now, this is just a simple chicken breast. This is going to feed at least 2 to 4 people. And then I'll poach the chicken in the broth for another 8 minutes. Bring it out and then we'll shred it. Okay, so this chicken has been gently poaching in our laksa broth for about 8 minutes. I'm going to take the lid off and we'll take it out. And you know the chicken's cooked. You can see how firm it is and it's obviously changed colour. So we'll take that out and now we can finish our sauce. Now, we did put raw chicken into this broth, but that's completely fine. You can see that it's boiling, it's simmering, it's completely safe. So we need to correct it with different flavourings. Fish sauce for some extra saltiness. We want to balance it out with a little bit of acidity, so I'm using some fresh lime. And I love aromatic kaffir lime leaves. These are fantastic, such a unique flavour. So instead of just throwing in these kaffir lime leaves like this, I like to roll them up just like a cigar, nice and tight. We don't want the woody centre, so we'll cut around that. And then with a sharp knife, finely slice it into really thin strands. This is going to give it a really beautiful, very citrus-like flavour. I love it. So that's 2 kaffir lime leaves. I'll sprinkle into the soup. That. Oh, it smells so good. And then just with a ladle, give that a mix. And what I want to do now is just have a taste, just to see how salty, how sweet, how creamy this beautiful soup is. So just a little bit. Oh, that is absolutely perfect as is. But what I love when I'm making these really quick soups at home is just to give it a personal touch. So I like to add a little bit of the fish sauce for some extra saltiness. And really, fish sauce is quite strong, so don't overdo it. So about a teaspoon. Perfect. And we'll mix that in. And for the freshness and the acidity that we were talking about, some lime. This one's a really juicy lime. I'm going to cut that in half. And I like a generous amount of fresh lime. Gosh, look at the juice in that. It's the juiciest lime I've seen in a long time. Fantastic. All right, another stir. The beautiful thing about laksa is you can change it up. It's a Nonya style dish. Like I said, comes from Malaysia and Singapore, and there are so many different varieties. I'm doing a basic chicken and tofu one today, but I've had a beautiful prawn one. You can use many different varieties of fish fillets in it. You can even use beef if you like. So sometimes, you know, when you're getting home, if you want to do a 100% vegetarian one, you can absolutely do that too. So for our chicken, now that's cooled down enough to handle, I'm just going to slice it into thin medallions. If you like, you could shred it, up to you. I'm just doing this for presentation purposes. Perfect. And now to build our beautiful big bowl of laksa, we need our noodles as the base. These are just classic rice noodles that I've rehydrated, and they go into the centre. Perfect. Now for the puffed fried tofu, look at these squishy, yummy things. These are, I think, quite important to add to a laksa, and you can find them at all Asian grocers. And you can leave them whole or jazz it up a little bit by cutting them in half. Have a look inside. Little squishy sponges. And these are great because of that delicious broth that we've just made. It's going to soak up all of those juices when you bite into it. Like I say, it's like a sponge, so you get that really delicious laksa flavour throughout each tofu puff. So I'm going to add a few of those because they're a bit of fun. Then we'll add our chicken, just on the top, and a few other ingredients. Classic spring onions and coriander, and I do like to add this at the end as opposed to adding it to our broth. So we'll just roughly chop our coriander and our spring onions just for a nice mild onion flavour on an angle. Generous handful of that. And then some bean sprouts. All right, let's ladle in our laksa broth. It's thick enough but not too thick, so place that over the top, pouring it over our noodles, pretty much warming up our noodles again and also that chicken. And then all of that fresh coriander and spring onions, they can go on top as the garnish in the middle. And then this, I think, is another imperative element, those bean sprouts for that crunchy finish over the top. Voila. Laksa done in minutes, and really it only takes minutes to do a really delicious soup like this. Forget about having it at the takeaway store, make it yourself at home.